Gas prices are soaring to the all-time high, and it's hitting the Trump sycophants the hardest because they don't work, they collect unemployment, they collect food stamps, so it's hitting them the hardest. So Lee Bryant of St. Petersburg, Florida, was already struggling to meet expenses because um, he lost his job as a human resources manager for a department store chain during the pandemic, and he had to take a lower-paying supervisory position at a rival company. Now, then gasoline prices had skyrocketed into the stratosphere. Bryant, who's 55, decided to give up his side gig at a ride-sharing and packaging delivery services since they no longer netted enough income after deducting gas costs. This left him with lower earnings and a high fuel expense, leading him to cancel his annual road trip to visit his 90-year-old mother in Indiana and friends in Boston, and he had to forgo a 44-mile drive to a yearly strawberry festival, and he had to drop his TV cable service. Now, Um, it's not fun, but it has to be done, Bryant says. I don't see gas prices going down, and I don't see my salary going up. Well, if you supported Trump, then probably not. Skyrocketing gas prices are delivering another blow to Americans battered by the high inflation, and it's forcing them to pull back their spending and change their everyday routine. And many are combining errands, they're dining out less, and they're canceling a lot of day trips and vacations. This will likely mean a bigger than expected hit to an economy that was already set to slow significantly after growing at the fastest pace in decades last year as COVID vaccinations increased and many businesses reopened or they crept closer to normal. The sky high pump costs are they're imposing an especially big burden on low income households who have been struggling to meet their expenses. Well, what you expect, Trump supporters? Did you think it was going to get easier? It's not. It's a big hit to a lot of the consumers, particularly low income and moderate income Americans, meaning Trump supporters. Said this is what Mark Zandi, chief economist of Moody Analytics, has said. They're already suffering from high inflation. This just adds to all of it. Now the gas costs make up about 3.6% of income for Americans that are earning less than 30,000 a year compared to 2.3 for those earning 50,000 to 150,000 which is what the Labor Department survey showed. And if lower income Americans have to pay more for gas, Zandy asks, then what else aren't they going to buy? Now it's reached a 40-year high. The annual inflation hit a 40-year high when it hit 8% when it hit almost 8% in February, and the gas prices accounted for nearly a third of that rise. The Labor Department said this week the Russia-Ukraine war and the related sanctions on Russia or companies' refusal to do business with that country are curtailing its oil supplies. Now on Thursday, the U.S. benchmark crude price, which hovered at around $75 a barrel late last year, had closed up to about 1% at about $110 a barrel. The unleaded gasoline averaged about $4.32 a gallon, which was up from just $3.73 last week and $2.81 a year ago. Oil could peak at $125 to $150 a barrel, while the gas prices could increase to 450 to 475 by next week. He expects to now the chief Tom Closa, who's the chief global analyst for the oil price information service, said that he expects prices to drift down the second half of the year as additional oil from Saudi Arabia, the U.S., and other sources come online. Now, still, the oil is averaging about $122 a barrel in 2022, and it would cost the average household around $120 a month, and the higher pump cost, and it would shave the economic growth this year by at least half a percentage to 3.25. This is what Zandy had said. Now, since the U.S. is now a top oil producer, the toll on consumer spending, which makes up about 70% of the economy, is partly offset by gains to the energy industry. Now, Lydia Busser of Oxford expects a bigger dent in growth of 8 tenths of a percentage point. She says the U.S. oil production is limited by aging wells, supply chain snags, labor shortages, and the producers' reluctance to ramp up output. This now that could trim growth to about 3%, which is solid by historical standards, but it would be down from a 38-year high of 5.7%, which is what it was last year. Now, Bryant, the department store manager, used to earn about 16 an hour from his driver gigs after subtracting gas expenses, but that fell to $9 an hour earlier this year, um, as the pump prices surged. And after accounting for depreciation and wear and tear on his 2022 Chevy Equinox, he says, I just didn't see the income any longer. He says, Bryant, who depleted his non-retirement account savings while he was unemployed during the health crisis, already was shocked by a $230 hike in rent for his one-bedroom apartment. Now, by dropping his cable company and landline phone service, Bryant says he's saving about $120 a month. But with all of this, he adds, I do not mind paying the high gas prices if they result from the support of Ukraine. Now, you can walk to work instead of driving if you live close enough to your job. That is. Now, Ilio Diaz of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, no longer drives to work. Instead, he opts to walk the mile or so to his operations job for an online learning company. He has also scrapped plans to drive to his brother's wedding in Orlando, Florida, and take side trips with his family on the way back. Instead, they all fly, and Diaz has decided not to buy a new outfit for the occasion. He says, I'll just wear whatever the hell I have, he says. Now, Diaz, who's 39, used to eat out with his family 4 or 5 times a week, and he has completely cut off that ritual. He says he's now spent $64 to fill up his Hyundai Elantra, about double his cost last week. He says many things have changed. Now the lofty gap prices mean more dramatic changes for lower income Americans. Now Gladys Stanley of Newark, Delaware, was already falling behind on her rent, car payment, and electricity and other bills. She works as a caregiver in a group home, and recently she got a raise to $18 an hour, but can no longer put in overtime after holiday-related staffing absences had basically petered out a couple of months ago. Now the pump prices shot higher, raising the cost to fill up her SUV to $90. She used to fill up her SUV for $50, but now it's costing her $90 to fill up, and it's putting her further behind on her bills. And Strong, who came to the U.S. from West Africa in 2017, has a 20-minute drive to his work. He says sometimes I don't have enough money for food or gas. As Stanley says, she's a single mother with 3 children, including 2 who still live at home. Um, when her son asks for treats in the grocery store, she says, "I don't have the money to buy." So you gotta say, okay, we don't have the money to buy this, and then you just go from there. But Stanley says that she's looking for a second job in her field, already has little time to spend with her kid. It's a lot of stress, she says. Others are making similar adjustments. The magic number was $4 a gallon, says Jay Boucher, who's a child care consultant who lives in Arlington, Virginia. Now, up to that, I didn't think I had a problem, but now physically, 4 is way closer to 5. Boucher, who's 49, used to run errands daily, by grocery shopping, car washing, picking up his kids from art class, and taking them to the playground. Now he has shifted most tasks to one weekend day to limit his gas usage. He also has started shopping at a discount grocery store that mostly sells private label products. Now, Stacy D. Benedetto of Roanoke, Virginia, recently started carpooling with other mothers to pick up their kids from soccer practice and ordering clothing, home goods, and other products online to minimize the driving. Then the irony is now that COVID is dying out, we should be able to go to more places, but here we are again in this situation, says D. Benedetto, who's 44. Um, Now, Miranda Saunders of Richmond, Virginia, is scrambling to book 3 airline flights over the next year for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and her kids' spring break before rising jet fuel prices drive airfares higher too. But we are very aware that the situation will get worse before it gets better, she says. Even the whimsical is falling victim to the run up in gas prices. On weekends, when they had nothing to do, Leland Briggs of Omaha, Nebraska, and her family would drive around town and listen to music on the radio, and that is definitely not happening now, Briggs, who's 36, says. Yeah, so basically, this is going to get worse, we know that. But it's not Biden's fault, he doesn't control gas prices, so you can't be fucking blaming him when he doesn't control that. Basically, this is all on the Republicans, and this is all on Vladimir Putin's war that he's starting. So yeah. But if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. And you could also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you could donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube, to help further support my work, and yeah.